The 15-Point Plan is part of the Win, Make, Give podcast network.
Hello, everyone. This is the 15-Point Plan podcast with Jacqueline Smith and my co-host and friend, Ryan Gregg. I'm so thrilled because today I'm going to interview Ryan. You heard from me on the last episode, and now we're going to go through Ryan and how he defines each of the 15 points currently in his life and how he checks those boxes. So we hope that by doing this will give you some real life examples and also show you how the points can vary. That's what I love about the 15-Point Plan is it can go with you everywhere in life and through all seasons of life because it shifts with you, but it takes a wholesome approach to managing your energy, your moods, diminishing stress levels. I think it's great. And Ryan, say hi to everyone and we're going to jump in.
Hey, everybody. I am super excited for today. I learned so much from hearing Jacqueline's 15 points and how she's checking each one of those off. I actually adapted a few of mine too, but I'm just excited to share what has worked for me and hopes that it will work for you and it will bring you some more joy and energy in your life and reduce your stress.
Awesome. Okay, we're going to jump right in because we have a lot to cover, right, Ryan? We're going to start with goals. What are you currently doing to check this box off and give yourself the point for goals?
I have to look at my goals every single day, Jacqueline. So in order to do that, I have to have them written out. And I have two different ways of doing that. Number one, years ago, I decided to write down all of my goals for health, personal goals, relationship, family. So health and personal, relationship and family, financial and business, and then of course, spiritual. And I wrote down goals that I wanted to just have for my whole life. And that is on one sheet of paper in my gym. And then I've got my mind map. And that's all of my big dreams and goals that I want to work towards within my business and within my life. So things on the big sheet of paper are things like being able to run a mile in 8 minutes or do 50 push-ups. Like I want to be able to do that for my whole life. But then I've got shorter term goals like, my business goals and like rental properties that I want to own and places that I want to go. So those are just, that mind map is like 5 feet wide and it hangs in my gym, which I go into every morning. So I stare at it while I'm working out every morning.
I love that. Okay. Movement. What are you doing right now to get your movement point?
So right now my movement point has changed. I've been on a movement journey for many years and I was really enjoying weightlifting over the last few years. And as I'm getting older, I'm realizing my body needs more mobility training, more flexibility training. So I've gone lighter on the weights. But for me, Jacqueline, I know that I get my point every day simply by breaking a sweat. That is the definition of the movement point to me. I was listening to Lex Friedman's podcast yesterday. He was interviewing Andrew Huberman, who are both very intelligent beings, and I study pretty frequently. Andrew was asking Lex about how he tracks his goals, same thing. And Lex has 11 things that are on his phone that he has to do every single day for just 5 minutes. But he says, once I start that 5 minutes, I almost always end up going longer. And that related to me with the movement point was that, look, if I'm breaking a sweat, now I'm kind of warmed up. I'm excited. I feel good. I'm going to keep going. But to check that point, I just got to break a sweat.
I love that. That's easy. Anyone can do that.
You can. Right? Yeah, you really can.
Especially right now. It's hot out there. Okay.
It's hot.
Hydration. I know both of us, this has changed over years, for us. So what currently are you defining for your hydration point?
Well, Jacqueline, I'm like you in that I'm a big advocate for having a water bottle that I know how much water it can hold. Mine holds 32 ounces. So if I'm drinking 4 of those a day, that's a fair amount of water. I'm significantly hydrated. So I'm using a water bottle. I'm drinking at least 1 or 2 before I even leave the house in the morning. And then another 1 to 2 before lunch, which just leaves 1 in the afternoon. But in addition to that, I've learned that to properly hydrate, I need things like electrolytes in my body. So I've added over this last year and done this daily, that salt and lemon, the pink Himalayan salt with a little bit of lemon in my water while my coffee is brewing. So that's the first thing that I drink. And then I typically have not necessarily always a full serving of some type of electrolytes, but probably a half serving, meaning like a half a pouch of some type of electrolyte powder added to my waters. So I do the salt and the lemon and some electrolytes, and then just making sure I'm hitting those measured water bottles so that I get enough water throughout the day.
Love that. Okay, and we have a whole episode that we did on hydration where Ryan talks about the electrolytes that he uses and the salt and everything. So go back and find that if this is something that you're really focused on.
Hmm.
Okay, so we've got hydration. Next is sleep.
Yeah, and hours is one thing, right? As we joked about last episode, like every decade of your life that goes by, you probably need to add an hour of sleep. But the way I know I got good sleep is if I wake up excited. Like, for example, this morning, I woke up and I knew my alarm hadn't gone off yet, but I was just excited for this day because I have a lot of cool things that I get to do with my business and with my life and with my son later tonight. And I was just excited for work and for the day. So I know when I wake up energized and I
Mhm.
hop out of bed before my alarm that I got enough sleep.
I love
And
that.
yeah, and if I'm hitting that snooze button and I don't want to get up, I probably ate too much too late the night before, which caused
Uh-huh.
me to not sleep very well. And
Yep.
I'll just feel it. I will know, and so I will change that next day. But that's how I know if I got enough sleep, Jacqueline. I'm getting up before my alarm, and I'm
Yep.
excited to get up. I'm not having to get up.
Yeah. Good. Good, good. Okay, nutrition. I know you're like really dialed on your nutrition, so we have high expectations for your answer here, Ryan.
Well, thank you. I don't think my nutrition is quite as, let's be honest. I love sweets and I have a 12-year-old
Mhm.
son. And I just have
Okay.
decided, Jacqueline, you know what? I'm going to enjoy the dang ice cream. Like
Yeah.
I'm not as worried about having a six pack as I used to be. I'm not as worried as being quote unquote cut as I used to be. I want to enjoy my time with my kid. But the rules that I've created are I don't eat sugar at the office. I don't eat processed food at the office,
Mm.
which is 5 days a week for the most part. So
Yeah.
for me, I get the nutrition point by eating the breakfast I made, and
Mhm.
eating the lunch I made, and eating the dinner I made.
Mhm.
And I give
Good.
myself some grace on the weekends. I have ice cream on the weekends.
Mhm.
And I probably don't check the nutrition box when I do that.
Yeah.
But for
That's
me,
okay.
just knowing when I'm not eating sugar and not eating processed foods and I'm eating mostly the food that I've made, I'm
Yeah.
good.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh, it's so refreshing to know that you're human and you eat ice cream.
I, I freaking love it. I love ice cream and my son loves it. And we justify each other. Dang it, Jacqueline. He'll be like, we should go to Dairy Queen. And in my head, I'm like, oh my God, that sounds so good. I'm like, I need to tell him no. And I'm like, like it's so good.
Okay. Well, then supplements. I know you have some favorites that you've shared on some past episodes, but how do you know if you got the point or not?
Well, I like to stack my habits, Jacqueline. So after I work out, I go in and I make my smoothie for the morning. My supplements are all right above that. So I can't make that smoothie. I can't drink my coffee without having to see my supplements. That's my reminder. And like you said, I take them or I don't. And it's pretty straightforward. And I
Yeah.
pretty much always take them while the water is boiling to make the second round of coffee.
There you go.
Yeah.
Easy. You take them or you don't.
Yep.
Uh, influences. How do you get this point?
I am incredibly influenced by social media and by phones, just like you are. And the way that I make sure to protect that, which might also fall into the time category, is frankly, I delete the Instagram app off my phone just about every day. It's a pain in the, I almost cussed. Oh my gosh. It's a pain in the butt. But what it does is it makes me be intentional. If I want to go onto Instagram, now I have to go to the app store. I have to download the Instagram app. It takes a few minutes. It's not a long
Yeah.
time, but I have to be intentional with it. And if I habitually go to look on Instagram, it's just not on my phone anymore. Facebook is not on my phone. I cannot check those things from my phone. So that really has protected me from just mindlessly scrolling and seeing some
Yeah.
things that aren't going to influence me in a positive way. In addition to that, Jacqueline, I just have no time for negative people in my life. If you're
Mhm.
negative, I'm not hanging out with you.
Yeah.
I'm just not. And not to say I can't work with you, but I am not spending time around negative people. End of story.
Mhm. Yep. That's good. I have a good friend, you know him, Robert Burt in
Yeah.
Destin, Florida. He also doesn't have the apps on his phone. So all of us that do have it on the phone, that's why we really rely on you to share our podcast because
Mhm.
Ryan just isn't on there. He hops on intentionally, right? Like you have times where you go on, but it's like to get stuff done and then you're back off of it, right?
Well, like you said, like yesterday, it's like, hey, Jacqueline, I was really enjoying the episode. Let's share it. And I'm like, gosh, now I have to go download Instagram
Yeah.
again. I have
Yeah.
to go through the whole process of it, but it just makes it so that I'm only there because I
Yeah.
want to be.
Exactly. That's good.
And if I catch myself scrolling on Instagram for more than I want to be, that's my cue, dude. Delete it again.
Yep. Time to get off. Okay.
Yep.
Journal. I know you have some different techniques you use, but currently, how do you know if you get this point or not for the 15-point plan?
Jacqueline, I really am starting to believe that journaling can be one of the most impactful points on this plan. And the reason I say that is because I've done it every single day for so many years now. I can't imagine not doing it. My weekly practice is a little bit different from the weekends. During the week, I have what's called my TIDE journaling. It's an acronym. T stands for thankful. So I write down 10 things I'm thankful for. I stands for intentions. Who do I intend to be for the day? D is what I'm going to delegate out to the universe before it even happens so that I can have the things that I want to attract in my life. And E is one thing I can be exceptional at for my day. So that's just my journal prompt right there.
Mm-hmm.
I do that every single day during the week. On Saturdays, I write my amazing partner a poem. And on Sundays, I write my son a letter.
Oh, I love that. I remember that. We talked about that letter.
I write, and so what that's doing though, like the journaling part of that, like it's a letter to him. So it's lessons that happen that week, stories that happen that week. It's just a combination of all the things, and it's just become so neat to watch that evolve. And the Saturday poems are kind of fun too.
I love that. Okay, all the girls are swooning. Okay, mindfulness. What are you counting currently?
Yeah, so I think people can absolutely impact and change their life in any direction they want if they combine the two things of mindfulness and journaling, Jacqueline. I look forward every single day to going into my meditation room. I had Bentley's, my son's stepdad, came over this last weekend, and we just sat in the meditation room for a little while. And I just said, "Hey, man, just take a sip of your coffee and just listen for a second." And we just sat and listened to the birds.
Mm-hmm.
And I meditate every single day, just sitting there quietly. My window is wide open. I have the forest in my backyard, so I can hear the birds singing. It is the best thing for my life. It just centers me. It causes me to just have this peace within me, and it allows me to focus on what I want to be for that day. So my mindfulness point is to meditate I sit in front of a UV red light, and I do a heavy breath work session for 10 minutes. And then I do a 20-minute meditation session.
Cool. Gratitude's next.
Gratitude, I had written in my journal, right? So I already wrote down 10 things that I'm thankful for in that day. And then I come into my office, like you said, and we end all of our meetings with one thing that we're grateful for. And oftentimes I have a hard time just picking one thing because I've already written down 10 for the day. And I just like to really practice that gratitude and making sure that I'm always looking for the good in every situation in life. Yeah.
Yeah. See how everyone noticed that you can get multiple points through, like his TIDE journaling exercise is gratitude and journaling. Okay. Laugh.
Yeah, and then my Saturday poems are always a good laugh for me because I'm not the greatest poet in the world, and uh, sometimes I'll send them over to her, and sometimes I won't. But they always give me a laugh. But I'm like you, Jacqueline. I'm a pretty lighthearted, positive-minded person, so I don't really have much of an issue with the laughter point. If I do, I'm probably in a pretty dark space and not doing most of these points. So somebody please check on me. If you see me and I haven't laughed, like there's probably something up. And I really appreciate a couple people out there that like will recognize that in me and be like, dude, are you okay? Like, what's up? It's very rare that you won't hear me laugh for a day.
Yep.
So I don't have much hard times checking that one off. And and so looking at the next point of learning, that one I do have a hard point checking off though, because I'm a fast mover, and sometimes I don't slow down enough to maybe pick up the book that I want to read. I too have probably 5 or 6 books that have been halfway read through, and I do listen to a fair amount of podcasts while I drive. So I suppose I'm probably constantly learning doing that. That's probably the most common thing that I'm doing is listening to podcasts during my drive time because I have a fair amount of that.
Yeah.
And making sure that there's good information coming to me while I'm on the road. So listening to podcasts, there's no shortage of those. I've got a ton I could share with people. And then, but I also I think there's something super powerful about actually reading books.
Mm-hmm.
And I love reading books before I go to bed. I try to read at least 10 pages at night, but it doesn't always happen.
Okay. What are your current hobby points?
So another thing I took away from Lex Friedman saying that was, he says he plays guitar, for example, and I was painting last night, which I don't do enough. And I put that onto my list of things. I said, you know what, I'm going to paint a little bit every day.
Mm.
And what he said that stood out was like, you just do a little bit of these things every day, and then you get into a rhythm of doing them every day. And I have this owl painting because I love owls, and it's like 30 different colors, and all you have to do is like each part of the owl is a color, and so you have to find each number, and then you just paint that. And yesterday I did 2 numbers on there, and it just felt really good. It just felt so good to sit there with my door open. It was like 6 or 7 o'clock at night, and I'm just painting, and there's no music playing, no nothing playing. I could just be there present with myself. But I love gardening. I love being outside. I love working outside in nature, and whatever I can do that's going to, when I paint my brain, I can feel some weird part of my brain working. It's not the part that I'm using right now. It's not the part that I'm using during business. And I love that. I love that challenge of using different parts of my brain.
Awesome. Okay. And then what about serve? What
You
are you doing
know,
for that one?
for this box, I kind of channeled my father, who's no longer with us, but everywhere my dad would go, from as long as I could remember, he would leave the room with a smile. Like if he would buy something from the supermarket, he would talk with that person just enough that like we'd walk out and I'd look and the person would be in a better mood. So for me, the service category just means, how did I make somebody smile today?
Yeah.
Could I deliver a smile today with nothing in return?
Hmm. Yeah. That's so nice. My husband's kind of like that too. We go into stores or whatever, and just super chatty. You must be a bit of an extrovert,
Well, I think
channeling your dad's extroversion.
I saw what it did for him, and I saw what it did for the people around him. And my son hates it because he's at that age where like everything I do is embarrassing. So if we go somewhere and I'm talking with somebody, he's like, Dad, like, why do you say hello to everybody? I'm like, well, why would you not?
Yeah.
And, just a quick story. I did
Mhm.
this the other day when I was getting some lunch at this restaurant. I had a bad experience prior to that, but I came into this restaurant to get some stuff to go. And the young gentleman that was working there, his name is Cantrell. Trell is what he goes by. He's a
Mhm.
sprinter at the university. He's 20 years old. And I started talking with him. He started talking with me. We totally hit it off. We exchanged contact information, and now he is Bentley's sprinting coach.
Oh my gosh.
And
Wow.
we had our first training session with him over the weekend, and that would not have happened. That connection would not have been made had I not channeled my dad and just had an open conversation. And this
Mhm.
guy is super cool. He's super knowledgeable. He's really freaking fast, and it just worked out perfectly, right? So that was a great example of me going into something open minded, and look
Mhm.
what came from that.
Yeah. What a good lesson for Bentley to learn too, witnessing you doing this every day. Right now he's in his, that age, I guess, where they, like you said, they're embarrassed of you, but he's gonna want to honor that just like you're doing it because of your dad. I love that.
Yeah, yeah. And one thing I know we're short on time, but one other thing I have to share in the service category is I don't give a lot of money away to homeless people, but we have one guy that we really take care of. His name's Eddie. Eddie's in a wheelchair. Eddie's a pretty straight shooting kind of guy. And every time we see Eddie out in front of the store, we go in and we load him up with groceries. We give him whatever he needs. So he's like our one guy. He knows Bentley now. Bentley sees him. We've given him hundreds of dollars over the years. We helped him get into an apartment. And so I thought it was important for Bentley to see, like, let's give to somebody. We can't give to every single homeless person out there, but Eddie was somebody that I met years ago. And I said, you know what, we're going to try our best to really help this guy out.
That's awesome. Good for you guys. Okay, time.
Time. This is an interesting one, Jacqueline. So for those that don't know, my previous career was a DJ. And I played reggae music and Caribbean music. And if you ever go to a Caribbean party or a reggae party and you're not familiar with the music, you're going to be very annoyed. And the reason is because they play the songs for like 30 seconds. They play the hook, they play the exciting part of the song, and then they mix the next song. And you're going, wait, but as a reggae DJ in a Caribbean culture, that's how the music is played. It's played very quick, very fast. So I was telling this to Jacqueline one time about how we would almost move in minutes. not in like a day or in an hour, but breaking things down into the minute.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to really protect my time, I need to look at each minute of my day and am I maximizing each minute? And a minute is a really long time if you treat it like it is.
Mm-hmm.
But a day will blow by if you're not careful.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I'm looking at my calendar constantly. I'm canceling anything that's not important. And I'm just purposeful with my time. I want to get things done so that I can enjoy the things that I want to do. And I'm
Yeah.
going to work hard and work fast and with diligence to get those things done and not waste time doing it and stay focused doing it. So just protecting that time by really looking at every minute and how I'm spending it and tracking that time and doing plenty of studies throughout the year, a couple times a year on tracking every 15 minutes. What did I do every 15 minutes from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m.? I guarantee if our audience does that, give it a try for a week. Just write it down. What did you do from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m.? Write down every 15 minutes. I challenge you and message me when you do because you're going to be blown away with what you realize.
Yeah. Good. Wow. Well, this was awesome. I actually hadn't heard, even though we've been hosting this podcast together for a while now, I hadn't heard all of Ryan's. I knew a lot of them. So that was really a cool experience for me to hear everything you're doing. I really, like I said, want to be like you with journaling. So I'm on that journey right now. And I just appreciate you sharing with everyone. I hope that between the one episode we did with mine and Ryan's, and then we have some guests coming up that you'll get to hear from them as well, what they've done with the 15-point plan and how it's impacted them. So we appreciate you listening. We appreciate you sharing this with your friends. Get the word out because we have found that people using the 15-point plan, even if they're not perfect at it, even if they don't use it all the time, that it's something that they can have in their toolbox to get back on track if they're off track in a rut, if they're finding that they're really stressed out. This is such a great energy management, stress management system. And we just appreciate all of you for your support, sharing, and follow Ryan, even though he's not on Instagram very often, at Bentley's. What is it now? No, you changed it. Ryan Park Greg.
It's Ryan Park Greg. Yeah. And we haven't actually talked about the reason for that. One day we will do an episode on the reason as to why I changed from Bentley's Old Man to Ryan Park Greg and Jacqueline Ray, R-A-E Smith.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Until next time. Bye, everybody.